welcome to this episode of 101 Sports. I'm Curt, Lestan.
And I'm DiRienzo. We've got a lot to cover today, so let's get things going with this week's Starting Five.
NFL Films president Steve Sabol died this past week after an 18-month battle with brain cancer. Sabol was a visionary for the presentation of sport, turning the rough and violent game of football into beautiful cinema. Joe, what do you think Sabol's lasting impression, and how much did he really affect the NFL?
Oh, he affected the NFL incredibly. He turned the NFL into a popular sport. The NFL was fourth most popular in the U.S. in 1960. NFL Films comes along, 62, and by 1970, they're the most popular sport in football. He made the game pretty.
That's a quick turnaround.
Which is crazy to think about, because the NFL is one of the most hard-hitting games in the world. And people getting concussions and stuff, but he made it beautiful.
And Joe, as you said, you know, first thing when we think of with football is how violent it is,
right,
how tough those athletes are, but he really found a way to make it stand out as something more than that and mean more than that, which it does. And the fact that he was able to bring that out, it's really, you know, so many kudos to him. It was a great feat.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. And the stuff that the NFL Films did, the greatest moments and stuff and things like that you get to watch, people in our generation wouldn't have gotten to see things like that if it wasn't for them, because people in the NFL were recycling game footage. We wouldn't have been able to see Super Bowls before 1970 if it wasn't for them.
It certainly made the sport even more lasting now than what it was, and it's certainly things that we need to be thankful for sure.
Absolutely. Around this time every other year, the NHL preseason would be in full swing, with the start of the season just around the corner. Instead, the league is in its fourth lockout over the last 20 years, and the owners and players are still nowhere close to an agreement. Curt, I know this one hits home a bit for you. So how long do you think it is until we see these players on the ice? Do you need a minute?
Joe, it's too long. It's too long. No, listen, I really think they will be back. I really do. I don't think we're going to miss an entire season.
I hope they will be.
Because you know what? I don't think the owners and Gary Bettman are dumb enough to do that, okay?
Well, you never know.
It is Gary Bettman. That's a good point. But for me, I think by the Winter Classic. The Winter Classic has become such a big deal for the NHL. HBO does a great series leading up to it, and the game draws so much attention. I'll give this as true. Before the Winter Classic, NHL doesn't matter. No one cares about hockey. I don't care about hockey before the Winter Classic.
With this whole thing, there's no sense of urgency with anybody involved in this. You look back at the NFL lockout. The players had the Let Them Play campaign. You look back at the NBA lockout. They had those charity games going all across the United States, getting the word out that they just wanted to play. Yeah. There's nothing like that. The players are going overseas instead of doing things like that, which is what they should be.
I think the difference there, Joe, is at least the owners, when the NFL was in their lockout, at least the owners had some common sense and showed that they were at least willing to negotiate. Here, the owners really don't care. It's really
they're so
sad.
far apart.
I know. Hey, we'll see what happens. We can only hope. Anschutz Entertainment Group, who is behind the proposed move to bring an NFL franchise to Los Angeles, announced that their ownership is up for sale. With concerns over a new owner's willingness to keep the project growing, Joe, do you think we'll see an NFL team in LA anytime soon?
I just don't see who it'll be. What team is going to make the move? People always say the Jaguars will be the team. They're leased in Jacksonville until 2030. No chance it'll be them.
That's a long time from now.
San Diego Chargers, they're working out an agreement to stay in San Diego right now. The Rams, they're working on improving their stadium right now. Like all the teams that people were saying would move, even the Raiders, they now have Overstock.com sponsoring their current Coliseum. Who's going to move?
Yeah, Joe, I'm with you. I can't see it anytime soon because, as you said, no teams are looking to end up in a new relationship with the stadium, as one might say. But I think in time, I think we will see another team in LA because, you know, it's a huge market.
Oh, it's incredible.
Fantastic market. Tons of sales opportunity and marketing opportunity. We will see it. Just not soon.
Right. It's like, and one of the other teams, Minnesota, that could have moved if their stadium wasn't fixed. But again, problem solved.
Yeah. The timing isn't right.
Right. The timing isn't right. 3 weeks into the NFL season, and the replacement refs have officially caused an uproar. After another shaky performance over the weekend that was culminated with a game-deciding call on Monday Night Football, fans, players, and the media are all begging for the return of the quote-unquote real refs. Now, Curt, the NFL is not making very many steps towards solving this problem. Do they care?
But, Joe, they're having meetings, Joe. They're having meetings. Listen, this gets me so furiated more than anything else I can think of. Listen. Okay, listen. If the NFL was ever going to learn that they needed real refs in there, They were going to learn today, but if they don't learn today, Joe, I don't know what to tell you. This is the perfect opportunity to learn.
If they don't learn from this, I have no idea where they're going to learn.
Directly affected because of the refs.
Yeah.
You need to stop lying to people and telling people that everything is good. The game's not being altered. The game is still.
There are so many stories coming out.
BS being blown up all of our butts.
There's so many stories coming out about how terrible these refs are and how they're Division III refs, and they're not prepared for what situations they're being put in. It would not have been an easy call for current refs. It would not have been the easiest call in the world, but it would have been resolved easier than they did in that game.
Well, first of all, listen, they were in the right position, we'll give them that, but they handled it terribly. When you have a conflict between two refs, you get together and talk about it first. But I think regular refs would get that call right 10 out of 10 times, absolutely.
I wouldn't say 10 out of 10, but they do need to make a bigger move. Armchair official.
It's a new one, I like that. The first trailer for the new movie 42 came out this week. The movie brings the amazing story of Jackie Robinson's breaking baseball's color barrier to the big screen. Robinson's story is one certainly worth telling, but Joe, which athlete deserves a little love from Hollywood?
You know what? Jackie Robinson's story did need to be told through film, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
I think it's a great idea.
I don't think quite on the scale of that, but I would love to see a movie made about Bubba Watson and how he came out of nowhere to win that Masters title. Here's a guy, he is the most down-to-earth golfer anyone could possibly imagine. He has never taken a swing lesson, doesn't even have a swing coach. His dad taught him the grip and how to swing, and he went from there.
It gives guys like you inspiration.
It gives us a chance to think we could maybe do something like it. It would be so inspirational.
Have you seen my golf game lately?
Exactly. That's the point. We could imagine that we might have a chance to do that just by watching a movie about him.
I think that's a great pick because I think he's a great character to base it on. For me, I want to look at a guy like Pat Tillman. He is deceased now, but great story, played in the NFL and then went off to war. Unfortunately, died when he was there, but you know what? He did what he thought was best. He served his country.
That is an incredible story. That one, again, deserves to be told. I would love to see
Both
Hollywood.
are certainly worthy candidates for sure. We have to take our first break, but when we return, I will sit down with our NFL experts to break down the remaining undefeated teams in the NFL. You're watching 101 Sports.